Hey everybody, how's it going? Got a beautiful day today here in the sunny southeast, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to replace a transmission mount on an automatic transmission equipped Volvo 740 and a 760 and a 780 if you happen to have one of those, but this same chassis and the same general instructions may apply to a 240, but I think a 240 uses a different kind of a mount, but overall the same general procedure. And I'm going to go in here briefly and grab an extension I need. I forgot. I've been under here doing a little bit of preliminary work, so you didn't have to sit through some of the boring stuff. I know how people hate the boring stuff. So here we go. First thing I've done is I've jacked it up, and I went in from the left side because you got a exhaust pipe and catalytic converter on the passenger side that you'd have to work around. It's just easier to do it this way. So get it jacked up, and then I've put a jack stand under a solid point right here, and I've lightly let the car weight back down on the jack stand, and I still have my jack under it, of course. And then we're going to come down underneath and take a look at where we're working at, and this is looking towards the front of the car. You have the drive shaft here, you have transmission up here, and I have another bottle jack which is supporting and has slightly lifted this transmission pan. I have a block of wood between the two of those. You want to make sure you use something like that to distribute the weight, because what you have to do is your transmission mount is in here. The bottom of it, actually, I've jacked this up, maybe I should have waited on that, but this little center stud as it is on this transmission mount comes through. This is the cross member for the transmission. So I've already lifted this transmission up a bit after taking that nut off, and that's a 17mm nut, and again this is what goes in where am I? There we are. When that thing comes down, it bolts it in right here. So what I was doing, actually, I was going to try to just take my light and look at this mount and see if it had collapsed. It looks like it's never been changed, and it's kind of soaked with oil and probably some transmission fluid, and it's rubber, so that's a good combination for failure. And what this car is doing is it's got a really pronounced vibration in gear and a little bit out of gear, but mainly in gear. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove this cross member and take a look at the mount and see what kind of shape it's in. So what we're going to need to do to get this cross member off, that's the reason for the jack there too, to support the transmission while we're doing this. But what we're going to do is we're going to remove these 4 bolts that hold this cross member in, and there's 2 there on the left which are 14mm, and then there's 2 over here on this side which are also, of course, 14mm. And so once again, that's what you're going to do to remove this mount and the cross member along with it. And you, just like I said, be careful with this and make sure you have a good jack under the transmission, because it's not going to go far, but you don't want to just let the transmission drop, obviously, because that puts strain on your wiring and linkage and anything else that's connected to the transmission and the engine. So don't do that. So I'm going to go ahead and knock out those, loosen up those 14s, and we should be able to just drop that cross member right off and take a look at it. Okay then, I have dropped off that cross member. It's just as simple as I told you. You got just 4 of those 14mm bolts, 2 on that side, 2 on that side, and then the thing just falls right off, essentially. And that's the little center bolt, stud, whatever, that stays on the transmission. That's part of the transmission, so you don't have to remove any of that to get this out. So let's go take a look at this cross member here, and I think my prediction was correct on this, because it looks pretty bad. Okay, so here it is in all its glory, so to speak. And Now this cross member, I was just noticing this. I want to point something out to you, that this thing can't be put in the wrong way, because if you look at it, it's designed asymmetrically. So that means you got this side here is designed to go up higher on the body, so you can't, there's no way to mess this up. So the high side is, and also the things are a little bit angled on it. So that's the passenger side there. That's where it mounts, and then this is the driver's side. So when you put that back together, it's gonna be, I don't know what that was. So here it is. This mount just bolts in. It's got, looks like two 13mm bolts, 12 or 13. I'll figure that one out in a minute. But I see a piece of rubber in there. But this is where the transmission. This is where the transmission rests against, and then supports it. And what's supposed to happen is this. This mount is supposed to be, the center part is supposed to be supported by rubber, and you can see the rubber has all disintegrated, and I think what's going on is this metal part in the center is just now resting against the frame of the cross member, the metal of the cross member. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these two bolts, and this thing should just lift right out, and I'll go get another one if it's as bad as it looks, which it looks bad. So the new one's actually on about $17, and my local, well, they're the same O'Reilly that told me they had a fuel pump for this car, and they didn't. So I guess I'll go take my chances again and see if I've got the right mount this time. But let's go ahead and pull this out and look at it and see what it looks like. Okay, I stand corrected. These are 12s, so I'm just gonna back these out. Came out pretty easy. They ought to. They got so much grease and oil on them. They should. I can tell this mount's probably never been changed before. So let's see here. Alright. Here we are. Oh boy, look at that. There's a ew. What? It's like a conglomeration of liquefied rubber in there. Well, I have to soak this mount cross member. Look at that. That's rubber here that has gotten so oil soaked that it's basically liquefied. Beautiful. That was actually squishing out of the yeah. Okay, I don't think I need to go any further with that. Yeah, this thing looks trashed. Yeah, that's what was happening. Cause see, I'm trying not to shake the camera too much. See, the way this is designed, this is a safety mount, which means that it can't just fall through here, from here to there, because this is metal, and what's supposed to be happening actually is that this thing has actually still got some resiliency. If I push up on it, it'll move upward, but it's actually supposed to be well, I'm having to think here how this works, but either way, however, I'm not explaining too well, but this is the center part is supposed to be isolated from and supported by rubber. Well, supported by rubber and isolated from the outside shell. So it looks like it is just essentially collapsed, which means it's over the time the center part has sunk downward, so it's just sitting metal now. So that's part of the reason for the vibration. I hope so. But $17, it's worth a shot anyway. So I'll go pick one up, and in the meantime, I'm gonna soak this thing down with some cleaner and let it do its thing and clean that all up. Ooh, see all the dirt on it. Yeah, buddy. Very nice. Okay, so I'll give you a picture of this thing here, a little video of it when I get it put back together, and compare the old to the new. Well, we're ready to bolt this new mount in to the cross member. I picked that just now, and this is a part number 2675. This is for a 740 or 760 with a automatic transmission. The manual transmission takes a different mount, but you can see quite clearly how bad off the old mount was. If you look at the side of them, you can see where the top of that mount is supposed to be, and you can see, of course, that one is sunk way down in there. The whole thing is just dropped, so that's because that the rubber has disintegrated and softened up and things, and the weight of the transmission has pushed it down. And plus, it's easy to see when you move this one is very nice and firm there, and this one you can move it, you can obviously see it's all trashed. So anyway, I'm just going to drop this one on in, and this just goes right in there, and put the bolts back in, and then you'll put the bolts back in the cross member, bolt it all back together, and I'll give you a view of that when we've got it back in.